Welcome to the Richmond Leadership Lab, featuring business and nonprofit leaders across Richmond, Virginia. Produced and hosted by Filmspire and BenX.
Welcome back to another episode of the Richmond Leadership Lab, Richmond's #1 podcast. Don't look it up, just trust me, we totally are Richmond's #1 podcast.
By far. I think it's not even close at this point.
It's not even close. There's not even a competition in sight, really. Yeah, exactly. That's a joke, but seriously. This is episode 20. We're excited to be here. Christian and I have been doing this podcast since last January, which is great.
Yeah.
We've gotten to know each other
Just
more
over
and
a year
more
and a half.
over the years, which is great. And we're becoming even closer physically for people who don't know, because Christian literally just bought his first house like a 2-minute walk away from mine, which is hilarious.
Yeah. I didn't even know it, but it's even better now. You know, the
It's
house is
even
worth
better.
even more because of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you didn't bring the property value down or anything like that, so we appreciate
Well, there's
you
something
being
about the Quins, but
here. There's something about
Oh,
us.
wow.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
How you been?
I am good. It's been a busy summer. We're moving offices too.
Yeah, that's big.
We're actually moving right by you all too. But we're kind of off Glen Forest now.
Okay, yeah.
And so moving offices and then obviously the house. So we got, a lot going on, but it's exciting stuff.
That's exciting stuff. I'm excited for our guest.
I know. Me too. How
Yeah.
are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's summer, and it's hot, and it's raining, and it's cold. So it's like, it's crazy right now with the weather, it seems. So.
Yeah, the storm the other night woke me up like 6 times.
Oh, yeah. Woke up my kids. That was great.
Yeah, that's a whole story. Well, I am excited to introduce our 20th guest, Kelli Meadows, who is the the founding partner of Meadows Urquhart. Kelli, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
I'm excited about today. I've never been on a podcast before, so this is my
great.
first time.
Yeah.
You're in good
One
company.
for one.
I know.
Yeah. We've had a lot of people who had never done it before, so.
And I kind of love
Yeah.
it. I love it when it's like, first time on the podcast. It's like, because a lot of people don't know what to expect, I think, which is fun.
Yeah, it is fun. Yeah.
But I'm sure you've done other things, like
I listen to a
speaking
lot
and-
of podcasts.
Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go. What do you like listening to?
I listen to a variety of different things, kind of all
kinds.
the way across the board. I like gaining different perspectives on different subjects, and I found it's just a valuable thing to either do in the car,
Yeah.
do at home while you're cooking. Like I joke, I either binge watch TV or I watch no TV, but I do like to listen to podcasts a lot. So
It's so funny you say that. I'm the exact same way with TV.
Yeah.
Especially shows.
Yeah.
Like for me, I'm like nervous to start a new show because I'm either really going to like it and watch all of it in 4 days or
4 days?
or whatever. Yeah. It depends on how. It depends
My
on how
most
many
recent
seasons.
one was 2, so
Well, it depends on how many seasons.
know,
You guys need to
episodes.
compete in binging.
I know.
Yeah.
It was a lot of raining, so
Yes.
Yeah.
gotta have something to do when it rains.
But I also within a couple episodes don't like a lot of shows, and so it'll be like I'm nervous because if I find it and I love it, it's like it's gone. I mean, in a
You're
couple
gone.
days. But if
Yeah.
I don't like it, it's like
Delayed
It's-
gratification. That's a learning
Well,
skill.
it's been tricky too because a lot of the networks are tricking us, and some they release all the episodes
Right.
at once,
Yes.
and then some shows are going back to we're going to release like 3 or 4, or we're going to do one a week.
yes.
It's been tough.
I feel like Prime and Apple TV especially are the one a week now. Or that maybe they'll release the first couple and then you have to wait for the third
Yeah.
episode.
It's
like
all
you
about
said.
keeping the subscription revenue. That's
Yes.
you gotta keep
It's all
that high.
business at the end of the
Yeah,
day.
it's all
Yeah,
business.
all business.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
So
crazy.
tell us a little bit about yourself for those who are listening that may not know you.
Okay.
Yeah.
A little bit where you grew up and all that stuff.
So I've lived in Virginia all my life. I grew up in a little city called Poquoson, Virginia.
Oh, yeah.
Not sure if you guys are familiar with that.
Very familiar. They knocked us out of the high school regional championship.
And what sport was that?
Baseball.
Baseball.
There you
Yeah,
go.
they got
Yes.
us in baseball.
And I went to Christian Newport News, so Poquoson was right around the corner, and
Yeah.
ran into a bunch of old Poquoson people and things like that. Yeah.
CNU's my alma mater too. Captain for life.
Captain for life.
I didn't
We've
know
got
that.
a lot more to talk about, though.
We
Oh,
do.
there we go.
We
Yes.
could talk for hours. But yeah, so I moved to Poquoson when I was 5, which was a really important factor because Poquoson didn't have a lot of move-ins. If you either lived there and you had grandparents and great-grandparents and their grandparents there, or you were a move-in. You were classified as one or the other. And we did have Langley Air Force Base and NASA right around the corner. So you did have a fair amount of people that just moved in and out. And so I think there, hence the designation. My parents had moved from Southwest Virginia to Hampton, and then they were looking for a place to obviously have their kids go into school systems, things like that. And they chose Poquoson, and we moved there when I was 5. I actually didn't start attending school there until 2nd grade. So I went kindergarten, 1st grade to a private school. And then in 2nd grade, landed with the Poquoson school system. And if you know anything about Poquoson, you go to the same high school, middle school, elementary school all together. There's only one.
Oh, interesting. And they beat us. Unbelievable.
It still hurts. I still hear a twinge in your voice, Christian. Yeah. It's amazing.
So it's just like one big high school. It's South Hill. I grew up in South Hill.
Okay.
And so very similar, right? It wasn't all one. We had one county, essentially high school, and then middle school, and then elementary school.
Well, I say the important factor there, or the point I want to make, is that like I went to school with the same people from 2nd grade all the way through graduation, and even because I went to CNU, and it had a lot of people from Poquoson that went there, even through college. So I think that defines a lot of my life, is relationships and how important they are. And meaningful relationships are things that are important to me. I don't know if that's because of that background or what, but I do value deep relationships with people. And just having been raised in a community that there's a lot of nosy people. I mean, I'm not going to get you wrong. There was a scanner that would go off every night. And like, if you got, pulled over for speeding, like my best friend's mom knew, and she was calling my mom before, I could even get home and tell her. But everybody had your back, right? And you felt like you had a really, really big extended family, which was awesome to me.
Totally.
Are you still close with some people you went to high school with? And
I am. I actually called one of them this morning. And so not to like add insult to your baseball story, but her husband is the Poquoson baseball coach.
There we go.
And he did just win a couple of state championships. And but anyway, I called her this morning and I said, okay, I'm doing this podcast this afternoon, and I need you to help me remember some things about growing up. And it's kind of funny because she's like our historian. So we have like a group chat with, 5 of us that went to high school together. And anything happens, like we see something on Facebook or any social media, like she's the one you go to because she's going to remember who it is. She still lives there, so she's got all the intel.
Yeah.
So I called her this morning and I said, I need you to tell me about what was it like to grow up with me? Like, because my perspective, but like, tell me what you remember. And so we do talk a lot. We actually are going to get together in August.
That's cool.
We try to get together a fair amount. What
did mom and dad do? What brought you there?
So my dad was really good at working with his hands. Okay. So he started, he didn't come here for this, but when I was about 5 years old, he started a business with a partner, and they owned a machine company. And so they would literally make tools for the shipyard and other, large companies. So I always tried to describe it as they would basically take a piece of steel and they would mill it in the back, and then somebody would use it on a big piece of equipment, like on in the shipyard or something.
Great for him.
We have a couple clients that are in the machinery industry or machine industry, and the equipment that they have now is unbelievable. What it does, like the precision,
it's like
and
computers.
Yeah,
right?
it really is. Yeah, it was kind of.
So my dad, his trade was actually doing that by eyesight and by hand. Towards the end of his career, they were using a lot of machinery and the technology and things like that. Yeah. And I think that's when he decided, I think I'm ready to retire.
Nice.
It's a good career.
Yeah.
So grew up in Poquoson and then went to CNU. What was that experience like for you at CNU, and what did you end up studying there?
So interesting time in the fact that I was a good student, average. Yeah. A's, B's, I wasn't the smartest kid in the class, but, I could carry my own. Neither one of my parents went to college, so the college application process wasn't really something they helped me with, right? And the only only way I gathered information was really our high school counselors. And I remember going to our high school counselor, and I had no idea what I wanted to do. And didn't really get a ton of guidance, I'll just say, right? And so I ended up applying at William & Mary and CNU. And, I must have been at the time, like, I think back and reflect, and I'm like, gosh, like, one of my friends went to Tech, one of them went to UVA. Like, why didn't I apply other places? But I didn't. Yeah. And I probably wanted to stay close to home. I loved my family. I really loved being around with them. Yeah. So I'm sure that had something to do with it. But anyway, I applied to both of those. I didn't get in William & Mary, but I got in CNU. So that's where I went.
Nice.
Yeah, there you go.
That's great.
And so you went CNU too. I mean, both of you all, did you, I guess, enjoy the experience, didn't enjoy the experience?
Yeah, I loved it a lot. I know the school's changed a lot over the past 20 years and things like that. So it's funny to meet people who went to CNC, and Christopher Newport College at the time, and then became a university and things like that. So, and my experience was when Paul Tribble was the president, and how in his 20 plus years at the university totally transformed the campus, not just physically, but in all aspects of the university and things like that. So that was, I loved it. Small school, community feel, 5,000 undergraduate students. I'm so close with many of my friends and peers, and I moved to Richmond because half my friends moved to Richmond after college and things like that. So it was still really, really important for me. And then the long story, this podcast isn't about me. We can do another Richmond Leadership Lab podcast about me if you want. Was that
CNU.
CNU, exactly. I ended up actually working for President Tribble as his assistant after college for a year. So, which I learned a lot of leadership skills and experience under his tutelage and on being under his wing for a year, which was pretty incredible. So, yeah.
That's, I'm sure, was an amazing experience.
It was, yes. Very amazing. Yeah. He started the PLP, the President's Leadership Program at CNU, basically, and said we're going to have a minor in leadership studies. And I did not participate in that program, but he spearheaded that, and that was his thing to we're going to instill leadership skills in students and things like that and set them up for success in the real world. And so it was a great experience. Yeah.
Was perfect because they always beat us in baseball too.
Also good at baseball, yes.
And CNU's baseball team was pretty good. We always open the year in February, typically at CNU, and in February it was freezing.
Yes.
I mean, it was.
Yes.
I remember a couple games, it was like 38. And you're just, it is cold.
It can get cold even down there.
Yeah.
Well, I feel fortunate because I went to CNU, and my senior year is the year that Paul Tribble became president.
Started. Okay. Yes.
So it was a pretty exciting year. I had my first 3 years were under President Santoro, and then we had President Tribble come on. So, he spoke at my college graduation. I got to walk across the stage with him. He had John Warner as our speaker. Yeah. Like, it was a dynamic time.
Yeah.
And it was kind of interesting because as soon as I graduated from CNU, I moved right to Richmond for a job. And I didn't really get back to campus for a few years. It really wasn't until we started our firm that I got re-engaged at CNU. And I was actually just meeting with the dean of the business school this morning, and I was trying to reflect on the history there. But for about 10 years, I served on the Luter board of advisors and chaired that. Served on the Education Foundation.
Right.
I most recently just finished my tenure on the Board of Visitors, which was an amazing experience.
Oh, cool.
Congratulations.
That was an amazing experience. I was really hoping to get reappointed, but I didn't get reappointed in June. But that's okay. I keep saying there's another plan out there for me. And that's part of what my discussion has been. I've met with President Kelli. I helped hire President Kelli. I mean, that was an awesome experience. My first year on the board was when Adelia Thompson was the interim president, and our first task was to pick our next president right after Paul Tribble, which is a huge task. But what an awesome experience, right? Like, I joke and kind of parallel this to my life now at Meadows Urquhart, and we have 50 people in our firm, and if I make a bad decision, we can probably fix it. Like, it's not horrible.
Yeah.
Man, you go down this path of picking a college president and you make a bad decision.
That hurts.
That is really tough.
Yeah.
Really tough.
especially when like the attrition too, when it's like you have like maybe 3 presidents in 7 years, or
Yeah,
you know,
that's
26 years
there for 26
Paul
years.
Tribble served. How do you replace that? And just what he was able to achieve was awesome. So I reflect back on it and go like, man, I feel really fortunate that I did go to CNU.
Yeah.
And like I feel like the value of my degree has increased exponentially,
Yes.
you know, since I left. And I often see other captains for life. You know,
Yeah.
passing along out in the street and I see them, and to me I'm proud, right? Like I think it's awesome. So.
It is great. Yeah. And you know, similar, like my experience, every student has had a different, similar but different experience. Like the ethos and the spirit is the same. The community, the engagement, saying hi to each other as you walk by, holding the door for the person behind you, things like that. But the physical campus has changed so much. And by the time I graduated, it didn't look anything like it did when I started. You know, I was kind of like the green fence era, the Great Lawn, having so many green fences and all the new buildings and the science building and the Luter building being built and all that kind of stuff. But I have stayed engaged. I served on the Alumni Society board for a number of years and things like that, and still stayed in touch. And Scott Miller, who used to be on the board,
Yep.
big fan
Scott,
of.
well, yeah.
He's the reason I started a lot of this to begin with. He gave me my
That's
first
amazing.
camera.
So
Canon
you know,
camera.
So cool.
his wife
Yes,
was from Poquoson.
she
So
was.
Muriel,
Yes,
yeah.
And
So I knew her all growing up.
Yes, and I served with her on
cool.
the Alumni Society board together. And
Yep.
rest in peace. And,
Absolutely, she was a wonderful person.
lovely person.
She was.
Yes.
yeah.
This podcast is sponsored by Christopher Newport University. Defining lives
Sorry.
of significance.
Yeah.
I know, right? yes.
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 Living lives of significance.
Yeah.
Yes.
Captains for life.
Yes.
Go Captains.
Yes.
Well, I want to ask about your first couple jobs, but before we do, I'm curious just your board of visitor experience, because the board of visitors plays such a huge role in a college.
Yeah.
Obviously, finding a president, but obviously being involved in many different decisions across the university. So, how long were you on the board of visitors, and what was your experience like?
So, let's see. This is 2026. So I was appointed in June of 2024. So it's a 4-year term.
2022.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Did I say 2022?
Yeah,
Okay, sometimes I
2024.
say like,
Yeah.
So 2022 to 2026, and I really did think I was going to get reappointed. I thought a really good case, and I didn't. But that's okay. There's a lot of things going on with board appointments these days, and it's challenging.
Yeah.
But I will say, I learned so much, and it actually goes right into this podcast about leadership too, right? Because a lot of my leadership along the way was very much self-taught. Like, I didn't go to a class on how to be a leader.
Yeah.
We're a young entrepreneurial firm. You talk about my other jobs. I really didn't have any other jobs.
Okay.
Right? Like I didn't go somewhere where you got a lot of investment in your education. My leadership has been like, learn it as you go, and you hope you make the right decision as you go. And if you don't, then you fix it. That's kind of, but I think going to CNU and realizing how much structure is there in place, that it really helped me elevate my leadership style and like maybe take it more serious, taught me a lot of things. Because I was around a lot of really important people that served in roles around the community in Hampton Roads and Richmond, for really, really large companies. You have to remember, like, I've always worked for a company, except for maybe 2 to 3 years of my career that I've been working for 30 years. I've worked for a firm that's like 50 people or less. I've not ever worked for a really large company. So just seeing how they do things and attack things differently versus how we do, it just made me aware of so many other risks and just protecting our assets and different things like that. And it did help me reshape how I wanted to be as a leader.
That's cool.
Yeah. So the first year, I'll be honest, our first goal, the first year, I think it started in June. We were immediately thrown right into, here's the candidates that we have for the president. We're going to go down to a retreat and do 4 days of interviews and pick one when we come back. And I'm like, okay, this is a lot. Like, I don't even know what I'm doing, but okay. And they're like, okay, here's the question that you need to ask, Kelli. And I'm like, of course, it was a financial question, right? So that made it pretty easy. But that was a really cool experience to go through. And then afterwards, just being able to unpack like the pros and cons and all the things that were important in picking a president and making sure that we made the right decision. But that year was a lot about listening. I spent the first year listening a lot. And in my firm, most people that are around me would say I talk a lot, right? I don't probably listen as much as I used to. But it taught me a really good lesson in just listening and learning and understanding different perspectives and gaining more awareness. And that's what I did for the first year, really. I didn't hardly speak because everything was new. I think I was on academic affairs. I was on student life committee and finance, of course. So I just literally gathered all the information I could. And then the second year, I started to find my voice and be like, okay, I really understand this finance committee part. Like, that's the thing that I could lean into the most. And so, you know, I started diving into that a little bit more. I need to understand how this works because, you know, university finances, you know, it's very complex. What money comes from the state, what money is funded by tuition, everything goes in these different buckets. We can use this money for that. And, you know, so anyway, it was very complex. So started really gaining that knowledge the next year. The third year I served on the audit and risk committee. And that was really cool because that's where you really kind of went a level deeper. And so I ended up chairing that committee for the last 2 years. And that was a great learning experience. You know, you think about understanding what are the risks to a university. There's a lot.
There's a lot.
Yeah. Oh,
especially in today's day and age. We were, you know, just so many different. Luckily, I wasn't there during COVID, but there were, you know, after that, there were so many different things, protests and, you know, diversity and just all the different issues that coming up and just making sure that, you know, we were being equitable and that we were being fair.
Yeah.
What's cool too, I mean, to go to a college that obviously invested in you and then you're investing in it and then it's investing back with like obviously the lessons that you're learning and all
it's
this
a full
stuff.
circle.
It's like a circle.
I know.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So when you graduated CNU and you moved to Richmond, what was the first couple jobs before, obviously, we'll get into Meadows Urquhart too.
Right. So the first year, so I graduated in 1996. Job market was not great at the time. Like I almost kind of mirror it right now where it's a little bit tougher for people to get jobs. It was kind of like that. Even public accounting, you know, there was not a lot of opportunities. So one of my professors encouraged me to look at the Auditor of Public Accounts, which was in Richmond, and they audit state government agencies, and so I did that. I went to work there. They had a great training program. They forced you to think. It was awesome. Like I talked some about the training I received there and just like really thinking about who our clients were. Like one of the first audits I did was for the Virginia Employment Commission. And just as a very, you know, person that just got out of college, you know, they would provide me a process of what they wanted me to achieve. They gave me support, but there was a lot of autonomy. Like they gave me the opportunity to think, to make errors, but then supportive to like help redirect me, which was really cool at that time because I think a lot of times what has happened in accounting a lot of times is you get these checklists that you're just supposed to go and fill out.
It's a process or system.
Right? Go fill out this checklist and do these 8 steps. Whereas when I started, they were like, this is the process we want you to audit. I think it was like employee benefit payments at the VEC. Nice. Go and interview everyone that's involved in this process and write an audit program about it. And I was like, okay. So I sat down. I mean, I'm sure I made a lot of errors along the way, but I had a manager there who really helped me like kind of redirect and go like, okay, well, what assertion are you trying to solve here? Like what are you trying to accomplish? And really forced you to like really think.
Critical thinking.
Yeah. The other really good benefit is, you know, it's a 40-hour week job. Public accounting is not, especially during peak seasons. But I was able to study for the CPA exam, get that passed. And about a year in, I realized there was a lot of politics involved in at the agency. And I'm like, you know, I really want something different. I don't know that I want to work in government. So I decided to jump over into public accounting.
Okay. Where'd you go?
I went to a firm called Sheely Burcham.
Okay.
And it was very similar to what Meadows Urquhart is today. And we served entrepreneurial clients. It was an awesome environment in the fact that we came in and, again, they allowed us to do a lot of different things. They allowed us to, meet with clients, really try to understand what they were trying to achieve, and then how do we help you, achieve what your goals are, right? So really defining what their goals were and understand what challenges they had along the way. And, one day it might be like, I have this payroll question. Can you solve that? And okay, we'll figure out how to solve that. And the next day it might be, hey, I need you to go help them implement this software. Okay, went out and figured out how to implement. So it was a lot of problem solving, right? It was like, this client has this problem. How would you solve it? And, I guess we had the internet at that day, but we didn't have AI to go in and ask chat or anyone. Like you had to, you called your accountant, right?
Yeah.
Or you called, and the partners that I worked for, that's what they were for their clients. Like they were chat. Like they would call them and say like, hey, I've got this issue. They had the perspective of all these different companies that they work with. And so they knew they would probably have an answer and at least point them in a direction to go. And then if there was something that they thought we could help with, it was my job as a staff to try to help solve that for them.
Yeah. Was it there that you got the idea, or started to get the idea of, hey, maybe I can launch my own firm, or maybe my experience fits here?
Yes and no. So I worked there for about 8 years and started a family. And I think I was 8.5 months pregnant, and the partners that we worked for, they were not even retirement age. They were pre-retirement age, but they were certainly thinking about what lies ahead. And they all of a sudden one day called us in the office and said, we've decided to sell the firm. And I actually correlate it now to private equity coming into the accounting firm industry and buying up accounting firms, because it was very much like that. McGladrey or RSM came in and bought us. They, at the time, were owned by H&R Block, so it was a publicly traded company. And, here we were, a 45-person firm where if you had a question, you just walked down to the managing partner and you got it answered. If it was maybe a yes or no, we don't know, but at least you had a decision made. To a very different environment where it was just, very risk averse.
More corporate, probably.
More corporate. Yeah. It was just a different environment.
Yeah.
A lot of wonderful qualities. Like I will say, great training programs, great recruiting process, really talented people around. But it was, for me at the time, just starting a family, one of the things I remember, and talking about leadership and things that you've faced along the way, I had already negotiated that when I had my first child, I wanted to have a reduced schedule. And the firm that I worked for was all on board. And they said, tell us what we need. We'd rather have some of you than none of you,
sure.
Which I totally appreciated. I'd been there for 8 years.
Yeah.
And, the new firm or McGladrey wasn't as receptive to that, right? And so we got to the end of the first year, and because I worked a reduced schedule, everything that they evaluated on was quantifiable. Like there was no qualitative analysis, right? So they would put everyone in quadrants. And because I didn't work and have as many billable hours as my peers, I was automatically put in quadrant 4, which they had 4 quadrants. 4 was the worst.
The worst one, yeah. The one you don't want to be in.
The one you don't want to be, right? You know, it's the one that didn't get a raise. It doesn't. And at the time, I wanted a place where I could still grow and have a career, but I could navigate this, new part of my life and being a mom.
Yeah.
And honestly, I got pregnant really fast again. My kids are 18 months apart, so it was like, wow.
Yeah.
And so pretty quickly after I got pregnant again, I was just like, this is just not going to be the right environment for me. And so I just decided to leave. And at the time, I didn't know exactly what I was going to do. I had different thoughts of starting things.
Sure.
But I didn't really know. I just knew that didn't seem to be the place that was going to be good for me. So
we'll be right back after this short message.
Are employee benefits a headache for your company? At BenX, we simplify benefits so you can focus on growing your business. From custom benefit solutions to cutting-edge technology, we make it easy for companies to take care of their teams. Visit BenXConsulting.com to see how we can simplify benefits for your growing company.
Your story is powerful, but is it reaching the right audience? At Filmspire, we create compelling videos and provide marketing strategies to make sure they drive real results. From crafting your message to amplifying it, we help you connect with your audience like never before. Ready to inspire?
Let's tell your story.
And now, back to the show.
Gotcha.
I left.
There you go. Good for you for leaving.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
I left.
How'd that feel?
Scary. You know, my husband was working. That was great, but I had 2 small kids. Sydney was born in March, and, you know, soon after that is when I decided to leave, but that was in 2004. And just to give you perspective, she was born in March of 2004, and we started Meadows Urquhart in August of 2004.
Wow.
So being a stay-at-home mom was not my thing either.
Sometimes you have to go through
That's
it.
also a very hard job. Yes.
It is the hardest job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It 100% is. Yes.
Yeah.
So tell us, how did the firm start? Tell us, what was the origin then?
So the person that I worked with the most at the firm, so effectively all the founding partners are with the Chile firm that was then McGladrey, and then we all decided to leave. But we had Doug Urquhart, one of my partners. He was my manager when I first came into public accounting, and I would say like he was my mentor. Like, right, he taught me a lot of what I know. He always forced me to be better and to develop. And yeah, you might stop learning here, but we don't stop. You know, we can always do things even better. And I'm like, can't we just be happy with where we are? He's like, yes, we can, for like a second. Then we have to figure out how we can improve even more. Yeah. So it's kind of a joke around the office, but I do think pushing that always like pushed me. And I will always say that Doug, he won every fantasy football league we did. He won every March Madness thing we did. He was just a lucky dude. Yeah. Like he wanted to play the lottery with Doug. So Doug came to me one day.
Doug's on the roulette table.
Yeah, he does gamble all the time. And I shouldn't say all the time, but he does like to gamble, so that you might find him at a local poker game somewhere. Yeah. But when he came to me in August, and he had made the decision too that he was ready to look for something different. Would I be willing to do this with him? And the answer was very quickly yes. Like, yes. How do I do this?
Yeah.
So that's how we started.
How did you decide to be different? Like, what was going to be how you're starting to set up your mission, your vision, your culture? What things did you want to establish as different than what you had experienced? And
on top of that, how many total people, I guess, left and started? Was it just you and Doug at the time? Was there a couple more, I guess, partners or a couple more people that were involved in the decision at all? Or
yeah, so good question. I'll take yours first. Yeah. So David Acree and Shannon Cook came along with us.
Okay.
We all had non-competes, and we're like, how do we set this up for the most success? So we decided, like, okay, what do we need to round out our expertise? Shannon was a tax manager. David was an assurance manager. And so skill sets was really important. And we all just got along really well. Like, we were friends. Like, I look at them and they're literally like my brothers. Like, we were family. You asked me, what did we want to do different? Well, we wanted to be the same culture as Chile Bertram. Like, we all were kind of bummed. And we've even told them to this day, like the partners that work there, man, we wish you just would have asked us, because like we would have loved to help take over. It was not even an opportunity. And I don't know that they even thought of it that way. And I'm sure McGladrey offered them so much money that it probably, was, when I say that, I mean, it's just probably more than we could have been able to afford. So it was an attractive offer. But what we wanted to create was the same environment we had at Chile Bertram, because it was a great firm to work for. Everyone loved it and was so disappointed when they sold. What we wanted to do different was we wanted to create a plan for sustainability. And that was really the differentiator, was we don't want to get to the point where we're in our 50s and we have no other choice but to sell. And so that's hard.
Yeah.
That is hard.
It's funny you say that, because there's a quote I heard a couple years ago that, like, a lot of entrepreneurs are actually not born, but they're made. And the reason this person or this entrepreneur was saying that was because there's a lot of situations, like my situation is very similar when I started BenX 4 years ago, right? It's a very kind of similar story. It's like a lot of entrepreneurs, like, maybe they're just not in the right situation, or a company merges or acquires or something changes and they see some good, but then obviously things change and maybe they're not happy with their manager. And then that's when they go, hey, why don't we start a firm? Why don't we look at that? Because I guarantee if you if they never sold, and it was Chile
Bertram.
Yeah, like if they never sold and you guys were on the partner track and all that stuff, you would have probably still be working there to this
100%.
day.
I still work with some of them. Like I work with Joe Chile. He's, we actually all just got together a couple weeks ago, like 20 of us that all worked at Chile Bertram. Like that's how valuable it was. And he actually came out and I'm like, look at what you created. Like this is the relationship network that you created. Yeah. We all are getting together after working together 25 years ago.
Yeah.
So I still am in contact with him. One of the partners actually came to work for us. He had to retire when he was 60. So we're like, come and work for us.
Yeah. Come on.
Yeah. So we have, I think they're actually proud of us. Like they're like, man, like maybe we should have held on a little longer.
Yeah. They're probably looking at you guys being like, dang, they built what we had.
I do, but I think they know that they instilled it. Like, right? Like they created the platform for us. Yeah. So I think that's what's cool too.
Yeah. So the first few years, walk me through that. So like you guys all get together, 4 of you, and you're like, hey, we want to do something very similar to what we had, but also obviously have a little bit of a difference here. Mm-hmm. Non-competes, all that stuff. The first couple of years, I mean, how was that? So
the timing couldn't have been better. Right. And so, when you have a retail shop and you say location, 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 this timing was great. It was right after Sarbanes-Oxley had come out. So the big four were just inundated with project work related to that and those adjustments. All of their work a lot of their work trickled down to the regional firms, and regional firms pushed their like lower tier work down. And we were just at the bottom, like, we are anxious to grow. We need something. And I will say we negotiated with McGladrey through our non-compete, and there were a lot of clients that we were really close with that we really wanted to maintain relationships. So we went through a process with them that, we tried to do it as above board as possible. We ended up buying a book of business from them. And in fact, like at the time, they were like, these are some clients that aren't fits for us. Would you like them? Right? Yeah. Add them to the list. So it was a good transition, as good as it could be. We wanted it to be fair. So we did do that. So we started with like a little nest egg. But you think about being an accountant, I don't know how many you know, but we're perceived as ones that aren't very extroverted.
Aren't very fun.
Very fun. But we generally don't have great sales skills, right? Like you think we're not very influential. Like, we are probably very tactical and technical, but are we influential? And I think back, I had one class at CNU for Lisa Spiller. I don't know if you had her.
I did
Dr.
not, but
Spiller.
I know who exactly.
She was great. Mm-hmm. It was her first year teaching.
Wow.
I had a marketing class for her. That was the only marketing class I had.
Yeah.
So I remember when we started the firm and Doug and I were talking, I hadn't really marketed that much. I mean, maybe a friend was a client, or, a friend of a friend, or my husband was, those kind of things. But I hadn't really gone out and created a COI network and demonstrated expertise. And I remember Doug just saying, because he had done this, he was a partner then at the firm. He just said, go out and talk to anybody that you know, and hopefully they'll listen. And so that's what I did. It was like a shotgun approach. Mm-hmm. I talked to whomever I could. I
so
took
many
them to
coffees
lunch.
and lunch.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yes, it was a shotgun approach. So that was a learning experience in itself, was just really learning how to sell work and create value for people. But I will say we were lucky in the fact that great timing, right? Mm-hmm. The service industry needed more people. And so the time that we did start the firm, it was great because, there was a lot of people who were just simply saying, if you can return my phone call, you're hired. Yeah. And I'm like, I can do that. Right?
Yeah.
I have plenty of time
Low
right
bar.
now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Which I feel like it's kind of like today.
Yeah, it is.
Right? Especially with like the talent.
It is very
and,
similar how interesting to me it is just correlating 2004 with,
with today.
2026. Yeah. A lot of the same things.
Yeah. It's kind of nuts with all
interesting
consolidation and acquisitions and all that stuff.
Yeah. Looking back now, so how many years has it been that you guys have been together?
22.
22 years.
Next month.
Wow.
Almost a quarter of a century.
You don't have to remind me of that. Yeah. I mean, I'm only 29 years old. I don't know how that happens.
Exactly. But I'm saying you guys should throw a huge 25-year party.
We will. We did have a really big 15-year. We had a really big 15-year one.
Right.
And so 2020 COVID kind of impacted a lot of different things. So we kind of, the 20th year, we revamped our website. We did some kind of internal rebranding for our 20th, but it was more like internal, updated our logo, those kind of things. But definitely have something fun for 25.
you need to. That's awesome.
Is there a particular moment that stands out in the past 22 years that you're just like super proud of? Anything kind of in the history so far that stands out as like a big win, a big milestone, a big victory for you guys?
Gosh, I would say just in the last few months have been what I would call I've called it the plot at Meadows Urquhart. You think about a book and there's always like a turning point. I feel like the plot has, we've gotten to a point that we are getting ready to turn a corner. And I think it's a pretty awesome place to be. We, with AI coming into the workforce and pipeline challenges and kind of all the different things that are kind of facing us in the environment, I have been spending a lot of time just thinking, if we were to rebuild a firm today, how would you rebuild it? Because it would be way different than it would be built 22 years ago. Yeah. And so we have decided to invest in a lot of talent. And so that I feel like has been a big turning point. We as partners have taken on so much of the burden of running the firm and doing operations, and that's tiring. Right. And so I think Karen. We just invested in hiring a new director of talent, and we just invested in hiring a CPA who is a director of operations, both of them very talented. And so that took a lot of convincing for my partners, right? To like, let's create, I first said, I want to hire an HR person. And they were like, wah, wah, we don't need an HR person. What I learned was I wasn't articulating it correctly. And, after consultants and 12 months later, I learned I shouldn't be saying I wanted an HR person. I really want a director of talent and development. Okay, well, then that changed the whole...
Because then that's directly correlated with, like, the people and then the work.
It was, and I just couldn't articulate. And you say, what are some of the challenges? Like, sometimes I have a vision of what I really am what I want, and sometimes I don't always have the words to describe it. And part of it might be I just don't take the time to describe it as well. And I just have to be more patient to say, like, I have this picture over here, but, like, I need to take the time to really describe to everybody what it looks like.
So attracting the right talent is really key right now. Have you guys defined what that looks like in terms of like what is the type of talent? What do they bring to the table? Hard skills, soft skills, things like that. What are you looking for in talent?
So I would say, we have a huge pipeline out of college, right? So in 2020, we started an externship program, which was hard during COVID to do an externship program. We all stood outside in an outdoor tent, 6 feet apart with pool noodles, making sure we didn't get too close. But I was like bound and determined. We had planned to do this in 2020, and I only had 6 people show up. But I was like, I don't care. We're going to do this. Be a trial run. But our idea was that we would have an externship program that taught accounting students about public accounting and what it really means and that it can be fun. And then we would have a pool to choose from for internships, because we do have internships during peak season and summer season. And so we would then have effectively like our externship is a 2-day interview with people, right, to be able to choose from it. And that would be able to translate into our next hiring season. So we do try to hire 4 to 5 out of college a year, so that we can kind of just build up a pipeline. The pipeline in accounting has been really difficult.
I was going to ask about that.
I was going to say, are we in a shortage right now of accountants these days?
It's a great question. So,
new accountants coming into the workforce?
So data shows, most recent data, because I am definitely a data person, that we are on the upswing of people choosing accounting versus, I think I'm going to say like it looks kind of like this. It bottomed out in like a steady decline for about 5 years. I think 2021 was like the bottom, and then we've kind of seen it come back up. So we had a pipeline problem, people coming into accounting. That has gotten a little bit better. People are now just graduating and coming out and looking for jobs. So that has gotten better. We're also getting ready to face an enrollment cliff in colleges and universities. I don't know how much you guys know about that, but since I spent a lot of time at CNU, we have an enrollment cliff. So we don't really know what the pipeline looks like. That's what the hard part is. Yeah. I'm actually on the VSCPA, and I'm chairing a task force right now on pipeline. And our first question was, what is the pipeline? We don't know, right? Like it has shown that it's been better the last few years. We now have a shortage at experienced level talent. So if you had at the 2020, 2021 mark, those would be like our managers today. So that's where we have the shortage. That's our pipeline shortage. So
wow.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And especially with, I feel like, investing like you all have in the training and development. So that allows you to obviously take someone who is out of college and then, obviously have a ramp and have a system and have a process versus maybe another firm that doesn't invest in younger talent.
Yes. And so what we're going to have to do, or what we hope we will be able to do, is accelerate that development with AI.
Yeah.
So whereas we had more of a traditional apprentice model, if you had projects that you were working on, you would have to do, we would expect our staff, we'd have to hire a bunch of them to do the routine tasks. Well, I remember sitting with a staff last year and I was asking her a question. It was a return she worked on and it got extended and we were picking it back up in May to finalize it. And she goes, honestly, Kelli, I don't even remember this client. Like, I did so many tax returns. And that was like a point to me that's like, okay, we have to do a better job of like creating a relationship or something that's meaningful for people. So they don't want to just sit and do data entry and do that. They want to be more advanced in their role. Sure. So my goal is hopefully with technology, we will be able to accelerate that path. I believe they still will have to have foundational training. They will still have to learn in a similar way that they did. It just, you don't have to do that as long, right? So whereas you may be in a staff accountant role for a year or 2 years doing, the more standard tasks, like maybe we could do that, cut it in half, cut it in a quarter.
Yeah. Sure, by a few months.
Yeah, and then you get to the more fun stuff faster.
Are there a couple examples? Like, are you all working with like a consultant or maybe an AI platform or something that's kind of helping you think through some of this development or AI use?
Yeah, I mean,
across the board
right now, like the new director of operations that we hired, he's very heavily involved in this process in the technology side. I would say myself and Doug, we are constantly gathering information about our industry. So we're a part of a international alliance where we get together with firms and try to understand, like, what are other people doing? What are other people seeing? Obviously on the VSCPA, so I'm in touch with all kinds of other firms and different people. So really just keeping our ear to the ground and understanding what's going on and being open, right? I think that's the biggest thing is just a lot of accountants are scared of change and they are like fearful of doing something different. And I'm like, hey, let's just revamp it. I am not afraid of change.
Yeah. Well, I also love like the campaigns that you guys have, like the fun. Yeah. Right? Like I see it on LinkedIn, I see it throughout your website. And like, tell me where that comes from. And obviously it sounds like just going against the grain and having a little bit of a different opinion on the way an accountant should be, right? So tell me a little bit about like the marketing, because obviously that marketing class, it sounds like paid off a little bit. But tell me a little bit about what you guys have going on there.
It was born probably in, 2019, 2020. I have 2 young adult children, just graduated from college. One just finished college and one finished last year. So they were always 1 year apart in school. And as they were going through their navigation process for college, they had lots of friends and they were always at the house. And I knew my 2 kids were not interested in accounting, good, bad, or different. I don't know why, but I would ask all the kids that came to the house because they were always at our house. And I would be like, so where are you thinking about going to school? And they would tell me, and I'm like, what do you think about majoring in? Nobody said accounting. I mean, nobody. It wasn't even on a radar. Yeah. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, don't you guys want to be an accountant? They're like, oh, no, we don't want to sit behind a desk all day. That's boring. Boring. And then I'm like, we have a problem. Like, there is a massive problem here. I mean, my kids spent a lot of time with friends, and there would be 20 to 30 people at our house. We hosted like Young Life at our house. Like there would be hundreds,
Yeah.
right? Nobody wants to do accounting out of 100 people. We have a problem.
You're just sitting everyone
Yeah.
down. You're like,
Yeah.
okay, now raise your hands if you want to do accounting.
And it got to the point
Someone's
like
giving
I
the
would,
club talk, and how many do you want to be?
that my
Yeah.
kids would say, like they laugh. They would be like, "Mom, don't ask what their major is." I'm like, "I'm gonna ask what their major is." We would go to Parents Weekend down in South Carolina, and my kids would go seek out somebody that was an accounting major. Look, Mom, I found somebody who's an accounting major.
Amazing.
And then I would sit there and talk to them. For
Does
a
a minor count? You know?
while. Yeah, I know, right?
That's amazing.
Yeah. Well, good for you guys
Yeah.
for going
But
against
that's
the
when they were
grain,
like,
too,
"It's
yeah.
not fun." I'm
Yeah.
like, "But it is fun. Like I love my job." And then I really started having to think about, well, what's fun about it? Like, why do I think it's fun? And so that's really where it was born.
Yeah.
How does that translate into, I guess, the way that you select leaders or the culture, right? Because the whole culture, I feel like, is being built upon what you guys have built over the last, obviously, 22 years, but especially the last few years. So how does that impact the way you all, hire the college students? That impact the way someone gets promoted and partner and all that stuff?
So it can be good and bad because the fun component is something culturally we do want people to come in, and we want people to have I want them to care about community. Like that's something that's really important to me. I want them to want to have meaningful relationships. But I also want them to be really good at what they do, right? And so it's a balancing thing to navigate because we have had a lot of just really great people that have worked for us, but you also have to want the desire to be really good, to always get better, to naturally be curious, and to have really good critical thinking skills, right? And you have to want to be more. And so it's a delicate thing to balance because I would say for a lot of years we were always the fun place to work, but fun is also getting promoted and being good at what you do and getting a raise and getting a bonus, right? And sometimes the fun part of us, we may not have seen that all the time. And so part of what we've had to do in the past few years is create a really good accountability and structure model to say like, hey, if we're gonna build this foundation for the future, we want everyone to have fun at work and we want everyone to love who they work with, but we have to be honest with ourselves and give good feedback. And there's a difference between developmental feedback and critical feedback, but you got to be willing to do it. And what I learned was accountants have a really hard time with that. They want to embrace people and care about them. They just don't really love giving honest, clear feedback when someone is not performing at their best. And so that's not fair to anyone. Hence, being able to hire Karen and coach people through that. Because I like to think of myself as someone that is fun, but most people know I have really high standards that I want you to achieve and high expectations. And they can go hand, it can be both, right? Like, so.
Yeah, it can be both.
Good point.
It can be both.
Yeah.
And especially I feel like with your role, it's from starting at 22 years ago to today, I'm sure your role has shifted so many times, right? From 22 years till today. But to walk me through your day-to-day today. What are the couple buckets or the couple priorities that Kelli Meadows is intently focused on today?
So I am very passionate about developing people. I love to teach. And so I'm also, I like people to understand the why of what they're doing, not just doing something because this is a task that I need to get done. I want you to understand why you're doing it so you understand why it's so key to the process. So this morning we sat together with a team. We're implementing HubSpot, a CRM, and I have this whole grand plan of, how I want to use it. That's way beyond just, a sales component. Right? I want it to be built into capacity and scheduling, and I want us to be able to get more information about recruiting and where should we, what about recruits do we like? And, I just want all this data, right, to be able to make decisions with. And so I spend my time a lot with people just understanding that component. Yes, it is important for maybe you to get this one little piece of information of what you need for your job, but this is how the whole firm could run better. And so that's one of the beauties of having our new COO. he's in there, and he and I can already tell we think very similarly. So I'm hoping what will happen is he will be able to take over a lot of those types of operational things where I had to, I was the one that was kind of thinking about big picture and kind of bringing everybody together and making sure they understood the why. Hoping I can offload that a little bit and spend more time bridging the gap where we have this, like I would say a manager or like mid-level shortage, and really trying to support and educate the younger generation. That's
great
where
answer.
I would like to spend my time.
That's great.
Yeah, absolutely. What is one of my favorite questions to ask is if you had 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes, if you had 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
With your previous self, 22 years ago when you started Meadows Urquhart. If you had 2 minutes, right? You can't have a lunch, you can't have a drink, just 2 minutes with your previous self. What would you tell Kelli Meadows of 2004 with all the knowledge that you know today?
Yeah. I would tell myself a couple different things. The first thing was, the first few years of your children's lives are very important to you. They're less important to them. They don't remember them. Being around when
as a dad of 2 young kids, that hits so hard.
It is really important to be present when they are teenagers and their little frontal lobes are forming and they're making decisions that could be good or bad. Being present and being around is really important during that time. A lot about being a parent too, just because I think it kind of correlates. I would also say letting go is really hard too, like of employees, of your children, all of the things when people leave and decide to do something else in their career, or they, my kids leaving and deciding they're going to do something else. I'm not do something else, but they're going to leave the house, be on their own. Like I used to always think of that as like a negative. Like, and I thought about myself. I've been I have learned to think more positive, and like I helped create that, right? I helped develop that talent that now wants to go out in the world and do this, which is awesome, right? And so I think that's pretty meaningful. I would tell myself to be a better listener. I talk a lot. I'm sure you guys are probably sick of hearing my voice, but
not at all.
I talk a lot, so being a better listener.
Wow.
Like the Board of Visitors.
Good practice. That was a great answer.
Yeah.
That was great. I wish we could keep going.
I know.
Let's wrap up with some fun stuff if we could.
Yeah.
One thing we always love talking about is food and
Yes.
restaurants. Being here in Richmond. So do you have a go-to restaurant that you guys, if it's date night on the calendar, where you and your husband like to go?
Stella's, hand down.
I mean, yes.
Yep.
Stella's awesome.
I like the community table.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
That's
I love
great.
sitting down, meeting the people that are beside you.
Yeah.
Having conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my...
Great.
Yeah, we took
Great answer.
Jake on our team. It was his birthday 2 weeks ago, or last week or 2 weeks ago, and we took him to Stella's for lunch. And even their lunch is just
amazing.
It's so good.
It's a great.
Gosh, we went to Metzger the other day for the first time
I've heard
in
of
Church
that.
Hill.
Yeah.
Which is like this German place. It was really
Okay.
good.
Yeah.
Church Hill, I'm slowly but surely realizing, has the best
Amazing.
food in Richmond. I mean, it's unbelievable. Grissette's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Roosevelt's good.
Yeah.
What's that seafood place across from Grissette's? Alewife.
Alewife. Yeah. It's got some
Unbelievable.
some bangers right there. That's
One
great.
of my favorite questions to ask is, if you weren't an accountant and you didn't start Meadows Urquhart, what would you be doing?
I always had a dream to be like a singer or like something in a band. Like that would be so cool. I have no
Amazing.
musical skills, so I would need a lot of training.
Let me be clear.
A lot of coaching.
A
and
lot of coaching. I would need a lot of singing lessons. But yeah, when you think about that's just purely out there like a dream. Like that would be really cool.
You would need like the Kelli Meadows of singing, to coach you like you are with CPAs.
Exactly.
I would need a lot of help.
Awesome.
I watched a Noah Kahn documentary the other day,
I've
and
seen
obviously
that
how he's
advertised.
just like
Oh my gosh.
blown up. And me and Becca were looking at getting tickets for Saturday in Raleigh, but they were it was ridiculous how expensive they were.
Tickets, that's a whole
It was like
nother-
$600
whole
for
nother thing.
nosebleeds.
Oh my gosh.
The ticket, and we were like, well,
That's great. That's crazy.
I don't think we're gonna do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
Should have got the pre-sale.
Yeah, exactly.
And who could even get in on those? Like
Right.
It's like a lottery system.
I know.
It's insane.
It's like Morgan Wallen now too, and just It's unbelievable.
It's insane.
But that's what you would be. You'd be touring.
Yeah. Kelli, one thing we like to do on the show is every guest who comes on, we like to see if they have a nonprofit they want to give a shout out to as a small thank you for being on the show. Christian and I make a small donation in our guest's honor for coming on the show. So is there a certain nonprofit you'd like to give a shout out to?
Well, because we've spent so much time talking about our captains, I would say the Education Foundation would be an awesome one.
Yeah.
Great choice.
CNU Education Foundation.
Absolutely. And it's the first one that truly benefits two people in the room.
That is true.
You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually had that thought before.
Yeah.
Because you asked me to think, but I didn't even realize that you were a
Oh, yeah.
you were a
We'll have to
captain,
talk
so
way
it's
more
very
about that.
fitting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fitting.
Heck yeah.
Kelli, this has been great. Thank you so much for coming on the show. So many great insights. Really appreciate it. So thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, we've enjoyed
Thank you.
having you.
Yeah,
Thanks
you
for being on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.